there is one thing that Mr. Girl stumbled on that I was also thinking when this drama was going down with Brittany, and it was, how have you been lately?
Pretty good. Just chilling. Playing games, doing streams, you know?
Are you gonna assert your boundaries more? I've been catching that drama.
A little bit, yeah. I'm just trying to call people out where I think they stand, basically. I'll be a little bit more open about that, which I think I've done a decent job of so far, so.
I was curious about that, because you said your takeaway from that situation was like you kept repeating, I vouch for this person. I fucking said some dumb shit and like misgauged her, and she misgauged me in her brain, and those seem to be like the two triggering points. But like, it also feels to me that it's the shit talking about your relationship that you didn't like. But
yeah, I think that the problem is like her analysis went beyond. It was beyond just like impartial analysis, and it like was hardcore, like just trashing me. And I was like, this is kind of weird. I think that was kind of my issue. But yeah, I don't know. Like there are some things I've said before publicly that I'm like aware of, that like you don't know somebody really well until you've been through like a situation where they could have fucked you over but they chose not to. Like that's a really big marker on how much I can trust somebody. And then I guess a second one that I've kind of learned that I kind of knew before, but I hadn't like verbalized as much, or hadn't been as cognizant of, is like having major disagreements with people is actually probably really important as well, because you really learn like a person's style of conflict resolution and where they, the kind of person they are when you have big disagreements. It's like really important, I think.
Have you thought at all, and I don't mean to attack you, but just a fun experiment, have you thought at all about how on the flip side that also applies to you? And it seems like you do go pretty nuclear, and even if you don't go super nuclear, you have all the fans and stuff, so they always like make it worse.
Yeah, I think the big problem is the thing that I have to keep in mind, nobody does this for me and I don't do this for anybody else, is nobody ever thinks about the public aspect. So for me, here's something that I'll say a lot. I've repeated this a lot on stream. I'll say, when I get mad at somebody, I just get mad at somebody and then I talk a little bit of shit, and but then I'm done. I'm done in like an hour or like 30 minutes. But I don't know why somebody carries that with them for so long. But when I get mad at somebody for 30 minutes, I get mad at them. Then there's a YouTube video on it. Then the orbiters make videos and react on it. Then there are videos made of the orbiters reacting to it. Then there are Reddit threads that go up. Then there are Reddit threads that go up with the videos of the other people. And then there are people on Twitter that get involved too. So like a 30 to 60 minute like rant where I'm upset at somebody will spin off like 25 different variations of content. So what'll happen is I'll get mad at somebody very briefly, and then in my mind, like I'm over it and it's not a big deal. But this other person is now on the receiving end of like 20 different forms of media that are assailing their character, you know?
Yeah, what do you mean when you say you get over it?
When I say I get over it, what I mean is that like I'll get upset about something, but then I'm usually it's very rare that I'll carry a grudge against somebody, like almost never.
Define that. What is carrying a grudge?
I'll try to reset in my brain like relations with people, and I try to treat people like pretty like in good faith, like even after I've had a disagreement with them. Like I won't let like one disagreement shade like an entire like perception of a person afterwards, unless they've given me a reason to like change my entire perception. So like Lav and MrGirl, I think, have given like good reasons for me to like have a totally different perception of them. Brittany, I like her personal opinions about me I don't like, but like I'll still probably say like in general, like it seems like she generally gives like pretty good relationship advice in general. She's not like a crazy person in general, but like obviously I did something that triggered the fuck out of her, and now she doesn't like me. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, she's like a horrible rapist, blah blah blah, you know. I'm not gonna do all that shit. But I'll have some criticism of her related to her treatment against me. It feels to me like when I get into disagreements with people, it's very common that people will shade every single thing I do as like the worst thing in the world. That seems to be the more common response. But
do you think it may be there are ways of diffusing stuff better? Because it felt to me like if I was sitting in your shoes and I'm in front of your Machiavelli, game board, the second I see this stream and she's saying all this stuff, my thought is like, I'm gonna have to have a private conversation with this chick and like see what's up with that, because that's a bit loony. Something's happened here. Clearly she's talked to this dude. I don't know what they talked about. She has this like weird impression of him. We had these bad conversations, like it was about a super personal topic to her. Like I might reserve saying anything right now, because this is also triggering the out of me. I can't believe she's saying X and Y and Z, and like she's pushing all my buttons. But you kind of wear it on your sleeve, and then you like burn the bridge really quick. And I feel like you gave up any hope of like fixing that, it feels like.
Yeah, I think that I think I'm kind of like, when it comes to public stuff, I'm kind of like eye for an eye. Like if somebody's gonna go really public on me, if they're gonna make like a big public statement or big public accusations or whatever about me, then I'm probably gonna be public back. That's just kind of the way that I work. Well, that's not a good reason. So like, could I have, is it possible that I could have messaged her and diffused the situation more effectively in a private setting? I thought we kind of already had. We had that conversation with Kyla on stream. I traded briefly. I think it was like 2 different messages off stream. And the impression that I got from her was that we were chill. And I think the impression I left her was that we were chill. But it very much seems like that was not the case, but rather that she had like flipped almost completely and like had massive like negative feelings towards me, which was surprising. Hold on, I'm about to nuke my chat. Why are you guys all ape-handsing this person? Okay, I'll do this later. I don't care. Jesus. Oh, and it's not working. My nukes aren't working. Why is my chatbot going bad?
Also, I have a job, like, and I don't stream, so I'm not here to make money off of Steven. I see a lot of that. It's triggering me.
You're good. Okay. No, I don't give a if you're trying to make a living off me. That's fine. If you want to do that, that's cool. I don't care.
I care what they think about me.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay, sorry. Yeah, if somebody else goes public with something, I'm generally gonna go public as well. Yeah. I feel like relatively protective about like my reputation and kind of public perception of me, especially for like close friends. So like if somebody's gonna go public on some stuff, I feel a need to kind of correct the record. My inner Anna comes out, and I need to set things straight.
Yeah, I get that, and I think that's a necessary step the moment the other person does the public thing. I'm just wondering if that can be a step that you're both on the same page about, so that they don't get butthurt if you say any little mean thing, or if they get the negative response, which is probably going to happen no matter what. Like if you guys talked in private before, and then you said publicly like the takeaways from the private conversation, and then DGG attacks them, it's like, well, we talked about this already. They can have the confidence that at least I'm not like super upset with them, and we're cool. And I think it helps to weather a lot of the storm.
That what you're saying there is probably true. Although for Brittany, I don't think it was like DGG's pressure drove her to be negative towards me. I think it was the private, or not private, but like the personal conversations we'd had are what drove her there. Yeah.
And she's kind of, I don't know, I'm reading in this as a parasocial Andy because all I do is watch this stuff. She's kind of like you, where I don't think she says when she's upset by stuff. Like you were saying, I don't hold a grudge, I'm done with this, like, same day. But that's not really true, because anytime it's brought up, it is a sore spot for you, and you're a human being, and you still have those emotions there.
Sorry, okay, let me further expand on the statement. When I say I don't hold a grudge, what I mean is that over non-personal topics, and even some personal topics, I can have intense disagreements with people, where we super disagree on a lot of things. It happened with Lauren, it happened with Nick Fuentes, it's happened with Counterpoints, it's happened with Pisco for sure, it's happened with you, it's happened with a lot of people where I can have like pretty intense disagreements over things, but I'm not gonna like hate you. I'm not gonna like hate you afterwards. Now, if that intense disagreement comes over something very personal that I have a really strong disagreement with, well then the likelihood of there being some kind of like bad feelings there definitely increases. That's what I mean when I say I don't hold a grudge. I can have really intense political disagreements with people, and it doesn't bleed out in a way where I'm like, I hate this person now because we disagreed over this thing, and I think they're like a Nazi or something. I don't know.
Now, you've talked about this with other people, how there's a short list of things that if you disagree with them fundamentally on it, they're gonna have a high likelihood of snapping, because it's unacceptable. Have you thought about what that list is for you? Because I know the relationship thing is probably at front of mind, but like, are there other things you could think of?
You mean like in terms of like what are personal triggers I have?
Yeah, like where when you guys disagree over that, that's likely to lead to like relationship ending, because like nobody comes out the other side of it.
Things that involve like trashing my wife. Please just die. Things that involve trashing my wife or my child are probably going to be my big things. Where like once you've like gone here, it's going to be pretty hard for me to give a about you and come back from it.
Gotcha.
I'm sure there are probably like political positions also that are kind of like beyond the pale. Like if you're like an avowed, like Fuentes is going to be a pretty hard sell to be friendly with now because he's like gone after the Ye shit, like full on like I love Hitler and all that, like that wacky crazy fucking speech that he made with like the dead bodies in the background. Like that's kind of beyond the pale. Unless he changes that significantly. Like there's like some political positions I imagine are going to be like that. It's just going to depend on.
I'd say Anna's one of these. You do get real fucking triggered when people talk about Anna.
I just get triggered because her situation is like misunderstood so much. Even by like Dan and Melina, I think her situation got misunderstood so much because everybody coded that, and I think still codes that situation as like Anna was just obsessed and wanted to like marry me. That's how everybody sees it, and I think it's like pretty obvious from all of her behavior personally and publicly towards me that that is not the case. That's not what she was like gunning for. That it was like an obsessive like correct the record thing relating to people's like stories about her. But yeah, but I mean, like generally, like if people want to talk about it, I'm not like opposed to it. Like if ABBA wanted to have a talk, or like I've talked privately to people about it, like I'm not like opposed to that. It's just when people will get it really, really wrong because they'll stereotype the situation or they'll project a lot of like what normally might happen, which is fair, but then they become delusional about it. Like they're not willing to accept any type of new information. And then it's just like, okay, well, here I am listening to your perception about this problem and you don't even know like the full story and you're not willing to even hear out any new information from me or her. And it's like, why even bother?
Now, has this anxiety that you have about, when everybody kind of sees something that's right and you got it wrong, and then you'll realize it at some point and like feel silly? Like, did you worry about that at all with the Anna situation? That like even Dan and other people that kind of know as much detail as you're willing to give about it, and they still have that opinion? Like, did that throw you for a loop at all? You seem so confident, but like a lot of the...
Yeah, we all have like different, like, I mean, like I'll be receptive to people depending on like their arguments and I guess like their experience, which really boils down to like the types of arguments they'll give, depending on the situation. But I mean, if I get something wrong, then I've got to modify like my heuristic on how I view things. It's hard though because like it's like one thing that's difficult is that one, I don't ever want to be in a position where I feel like I'm the only one that knows everything and everybody's getting everything wrong, because obviously that leads you to a whole bunch of delusional bad things where you can never be convinced of anything. But then secondly, like a lot of people that I deal with like really just have no idea, right? Like as much as I love Dan, and Dan's a pretty smart guy, Dan has no idea like the type of life I live or the people that I deal with. My life is way outside the norm from anything he's dealt with. And there are a lot of things where it's like, oh, like I understand what you're saying, and I think this would probably be true like most circumstances, but like in my particular situation, like the circumstances are so unique, I don't know if it's necessarily the same type of thing. But I mean, there's a whole host of issues even with that thought, right? Because it's like, oh, well, now you're thinking you're the exception to every rule, and for most people, for the vast majority of people, you're not the exception. Generally you fall right in line with the stats, but like my life is highly exceptional. So in a lot of ways I literally am the exception, so it's like it's very difficult to like balance it all out, you know.
Now I'm gonna go psych Andy on you. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, always.
There is one thing that MrGirl stumbled on that I was also thinking when this drama was going down with Brittany, and it was, you had this like passing line in your like sad Steven voice that was like, yeah, but like when something like this happens, you just let it go and you move on. You just give up on it, regardless of what had happened like before the break. It always needs to be a clean break. And he had mentioned that this could be related to like the dogs and like your living situation growing up. Like, well, I see some of that stuff in my own life with like divorced parents and moving around a lot, and like why I can stomach travel and like why I have that bug, even if it's like, it's a fucky life and it's like not convenient, but I'll go for it. Or, you know, you and these crazy people, like, have you ever deeply thought about how these childhood things impact that, or is that not like an angle you care about?
Yeah, I've thought about it, but the issue is that like I'm pretty introspective, and I generally know why I feel the things that I do. I think I've explained this before. I guess I'll explain it again. When I say that like I'm gonna drop this and move away, I guess maybe like some people might hear that as like, oh wow, like he gives up on people so easily. But this has been something that's been born out through experience. Here's something that happens. If there is a person that is being worked on by other people in the background, so people are feeding them negative information about me, people are trying to make them not like me, people are pressuring them against me, there's two ways that I can deal with this. The open and honest way, where I just kind of like communicate and like tell them like, hey, I disagree, whatever, it's not enough, because most people are going to feel a lot of pressure from the other people around them. So the only way to truly like hit back against that is I have to put a lot of work into maintaining that relationship. And it might even escalate to I have to be manipulative to some way, like, oh, well, that person telling you something, they're actually bad, or they don't like me, or blah, 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 blah. So there's two huge issues. One is I don't have the desire much. Like if you're somebody that can hate me because people are talking shit about me, then fuck it. I can find other friends. And two, I don't have the time to maintain all the backroom gossip. I don't have the time to be in the discords and talk to the people and fight against everybody. I just don't have the time to do it. So typically when I see that somebody there's like a little devil talking to people in the background, and it happens a lot. Usually for me, it's easier for me to say like, okay, well, listen, if you want to believe what they say, that's fine. But like it's on you. Like I can't, right? So like for the Lab MrGirl thing, I think that was the thing where I said several times where it's like, I think Lab is like, okay, but like if somebody's manipulating her in the background, this is what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And it did happen. But like my counter for that, I don't have the time to be like, Lab, like let's have like a 2-hour conversation every night so I can assure you that I'm doing all I can for you and blah, blah, blah. I just don't have the time or the desire for it.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. It's not like a matter of like if it was like a personal thing where I was just like living like a normal life and shit, I might like invest that time into not having those situations come up. But as it stands right now, it's just like that's a huge time sink to fight those types of impressions that people have about me.
Okay. I had a personal finance question. Yeah. So I think I've heard you say before that there is a number that you have in mind, as everybody should, on what you need for retirement. And it sounded like you were getting close to that. Like within a few years, you would probably hit that amount. And with your recent deals that you've signed, which I assume are lucrative enough for you to do,
you think maybe you should just focus
you're
on
going to
your
hit
core group
that
of friends
soon.
and
And
stuff?
if you do, like, what's next for you? Does that change your outlook on streaming or life or anything else?
No, I would say I'm probably already there. I think I feel pretty comfortable that like if I stop streaming now, I'd be like, fine, I'd be chill with it. But I mean, I do this because I really like it. I think that once you hit like a certain like thing in terms of like status or power or prestige or whatever the fuck you want to call it, for people that get pretty successful, like you're doing it because there's a passion for it. Like if I wasn't streaming, I would probably still be on Reddit, like posting arguments with people and shit posting on Twitter and fighting people. That's just what I do. It's like fun for me. So like, I mean, I have a decent amount of money. I could probably retire right now and be okay. Probably not in fucking South Beach, but like, yeah, it's not like, oh, like I got this money now, like now I'm gonna stop working. Like I think I'm probably still involved in like more projects today than I ever have been. And the amount of like travel and connections and types of content and everything I'm doing is probably expanded more than it ever has been. But yeah, it's not because like I need the money, but.
Gotcha. You talked about this media company thing. Is that still in development, or is that backlogged, or?
The biggest thing that I need to do right now is something that has been a struggle for me is I need to find a way to like develop and find like really, really good assistants. That my biggest thing right now is I have a big time problem and that I don't have the time to like work on the projects that I want to work on. So I don't know if that comes in a reduction of streaming hours or if that comes in a like finding really good assistants that can manage this type of stuff in my life. I don't know what the answer is to that yet. I have to figure that out. That's kind of something that I'm like been personally exploring in the background.
Okay. Because that would be really, really cool. But it's hard to find good people. So you have a community full of like really, really bright people, though. Are you working at all towards like putting out maybe an application place for everybody, or?
I'm not sure yet. I would have to like trial people and start. And I'm about to get a whole bunch of emails from like 18-year-old people right now saying they want to do this. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like you need the person already hired to handle the inflow of people.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm like tossing around in my head right now is what I need the most.
Well, something that's easier. What about this Dan podcast thing? I feel like I've never heard this like long form discussed before. He just mentions it.
Doing a podcast is something I need to be doing. I probably should have already been doing it. It'd be nice to do one with him. I've got like the studio and stuff lined up again, and we'll see if this one comes through. Yeah.
What's been like the blocker for you guys in the past? Is it the studios?
I think it's just been a worry about like exposure to like crazy online stuff has been kind of which is a fair worry for, yeah, Dan.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's got a good life. How's Redact going? Is he like actively developing it, or?
You'd have to ask him. I don't know. That's his whole, yeah.
Gotcha. I also kind of wanted to ask about, is it Kick, the team that's really responsive to you, or is that Rumble?
Right now I'd say probably Rumble more. Kick is pretty responsive though, but Rumble is definitely trying really, really, really hard. And they've got like a ton of stuff in place already. Like they've been working pretty hard on getting their shit lined up.
For the moderator thing, do you think they were already working on that before you asked about it, and that's why it was so quick? Or do you think they really like spun that up and developed it and launched it like after you asked about it?
No clue. Could have been either. I don't really have a way to know one way or another. I could probably ask Chris and he'd tell me, but there's probably been some work. Like they've drafted like other streamers and stuff. But I'm kind of unique in terms of like being an actual streamer, whereas everyone else they have is like news shows and stuff. So the moderation demands that I have might be unique compared to like Russell Brand or like people doing shows and stuff, you know?
And out of curiosity, I don't even know if you can share these details, but like, who are you in regular contact with at the company? Is it like product people or like the CEO, or do you have some person that represents you there that handles like creators, or like, how is that structured?
I think for Rumble, I'm pretty sure it's the CEO, the Chris guy that shows up in Rumble chat and stuff. I think it's the CEO. For Kick, I think it's a like talent manager, project manager guy, I think.
Okay, interesting. Damn. Well, that might be why you get stuff so quick.
Sure, but I mean, it also shows willingness for them to like work too. Like, I'm pretty sure that Chris guy I think meets with a lot of talent. Like, I think he's met with like Sneeko and stuff before too, because I think he feels obviously pretty. Well, I would hope as the fucking CEO of the company, he feels like really passionate about Rumble and what he wants to do with it and everything. So,
in negotiations, did they know about each other?
No, don't worry about that. I negotiated a time I wanted to stream on each platform, and then yeah, we'll see how that works, but.
You know what? Everybody else in business tries to screw creators all the time.
I'm not screwing anybody over. Listen, I agreed to...
No, not to say, of course, you know... I would say it benefits both of them. You know?
Yeah, true. And it also gives me a point of comparison for both platforms too. So like, assuming I'm being diplomatic, like I can always say like, oh, for Kick, like Kick is nice because, you know, they emulate like Twitch culture a bit better than Rumble does. That's a cool thing for Kick. And then for Rumble, I can say like, oh, well, in terms of like features on the platform and access to like advertisements and making money or whatever, Rumble might be a little bit better set up than Kick. Like I can talk about like pros and cons to each platform. And hopefully, depending on how responsive they are, like you have the ability to improve on both platforms as well. Which Rumble seems like really keen on. Sorry, go.
You mentioned ad delivery was really good on one of those. What kinds of ads are they getting? Are they like different than Twitch ads?
Yeah, I think they're definitely like in the conservative ad space. But I mean, like the fact that they have any at all, I think is impressive. Because I don't think Kick has any of their ad network built out yet. Oh, and also the big thing for Rumble too is that like Rumble runs all of its own shit. This is such a thing that nobody really cares about because it's not like a sexy talking point, but it was actually the reason why Twitch won over other platforms like owned back in the day. Is I think Rumble has built out all of their data infrastructure. They do all the video and content delivery on their own servers and shit. They don't rely on like Amazon or the Twitch video TVS, I think Twitch video services or whatever. Like they don't rely on any of that shit. They do all of it on their own, which is pretty impressive. That's a really, really, really big feat.
What would you say to the people who have a response along the lines of like, if AWS fails or is compromised, then like the whole internet is doomed?
No, I don't think. I think the internet is pretty responsive. I think we can figure new shit out.
Okay. So then you take it as a real chance that like there could be something fucky with AWS that could compromise like a platform built.
I'm not worried about something fucky with AWS. I always think it's better to have like multiple platforms like working in the space. Like I think like right now, as lame as it is to say, I do think the moderation policies are actually fucking with some of these platforms right now, like in really negative ways. Whereas before it was just like, oh, like they're banning too many people. I think now they are banning too many people. I think Twitch has had big issues with this relating to like the WL community. And I think YouTube has big issues with this relating to censoring like politically bad content. So stuff related to COVID stuff. Like I've hit 2 big strikes on my channel that I had to like beg on Twitter to get revoked for covering vaccine stuff. Yeah, so
damn.
I think it actually is problematic right now, and YouTube needs to figure their shit out better over it.
Although, you know, in this new frontier, I feel like it's problematic in the other direction too. I see Trainwreck struggling, and his company kind of struggling with like, where is the line on the other side? Because Aiden is consistently showing that it exists and he's over it, and now we got to draw it, and we got to figure out what happens to people that cross it. and I feel like that's like a whole struggle unto itself as well.
While that's true, I mean, they're a new platform. Like, I'll give them time to figure that out, right? I'm not going to sit here and shit on Kick for not having their moderation shit 100% ironed out when they're like on fucking month for their thing existing. Like, they're still new to the game, so I'll be like a little lenient. But I do agree they are going to have to figure it out. And I also feel bad because I used to think that like Train was kind of like a signaler, that he said some shit but he didn't really mean it. But now the more that I listen to him, or maybe he's just grown and matured a bit, I do actually think he's a bit more sincere than I initially thought. And I do think that Train is a bit more like, we should be able to kind of like be bros and chill and hang around and it can be fun. And then he sees other people that actually with that in really bad ways, and then it's frustrating for him because it makes him look bad, right? Train is, I imagine when Train's like, we should be able to do whatever we want, it'd be awesome. He wasn't actually thinking that somebody would go and Kick and stream fucking porn. That probably wasn't what he was thinking. And then when he sees that, my guess is going to be is that he gets pretty frustrated because now he looks like he was advocating for that the entire time. Because that's what a lot of people were saying. That's what I said, I think, a long time ago. I was like, Train just wants to be racist and do all this crazy shit. But I don't think he does, actually. I think he just wanted a place to like chill and be cool. But now you've got people that are like abusing that a lot, and it's probably really frustrating for him to deal with.
It was sad to see him have to like plead with Aiden. Like I like the tone of it was very much like, bro, please come on, but like let's set this shit aside. You know that like you can't do X and Y and Z, right? Because like you can't keep doing this.
I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like Aiden is on a big downswing. He's like sneakoing himself. Like he's starting fights with everybody. He's being way too extreme for no fucking reason. I don't know if it's because his dad is in jail, or no, I guess he just got on house arrest, and so he doesn't have like a guiding principle on his fucking stream right now. But
Jesus, bro.
Yeah, I feel like sorry, I'm talking about Andrew Tate. I feel like
okay.
yeah, sorry. I feel like I feel like he's just like lost. He's going like way too hard because he just doesn't have. Yeah, he's young. He made a ton of money. Like his mind is probably pretty.
Yeah, it's contagious. It's rocking through these little dudes. Like